folks. Welcome to Follow the Leader, a podcast focused on telling character-driven stories through the use of GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can still find us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at FTLcast and at FTLcast.com. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast. Today we're playing Goblin Market by Elliot Silverian. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. Every solstice, the veil thins between the worlds, merging mortal world with the Fey realm. Some time ago, the goblins started a market on the solstices to encourage friendship, trade, and storytelling between the worlds. Play to get to know your characters, meet Fey beings, and ultimately decide where you belong. I'm Sam. You can find me on Tumblr at SassyTale and on Blue Sky at SassyTale, though I'm not on Blue Sky very often. And my pronouns are he, they. Playing with me today, we have August.
Hello, I'm August. You can find me on Tumblr at Strange Harpy, on Blue Sky and Itch at Harpydora, and my pronouns are they, them.
And Shrug.
Hello, I'm Shrug. You can find me on Blue Sky at The Secret Frog or on Tumblr at Just Secret Frog, and my pronouns are he, him.
Our lines, things that we absolutely don't want to see, are homophobia and racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against children and animals, sexual assault, domestic violence and intimate partner violence, unwanted pregnancy, plagues, and pandemics. Our veils, things that we're fine with addressing but we'll just fade to black on, are steamy situations, graphic descriptions of bodily harm, and terminal illness. Now that we've got all that, let's get started.
All right, so Goblin Market.
Goblin Market.
So Goblin Market is a character-driven and narrative-heavy game, and you can collaboratively decide if you want to use the narrative to lean fun and whimsical or a little darker and more intense. You should also decide together if your playthrough is set at the summer solstice or winter solstice, as well as the general setting. For example, modern, historical, a certain style of fantasy. So we've talked a little bit about this off mic. We're thinking more of a modern setting, kind of not necessarily a direct sequel from our Fair Season game, but in that general vein where it's, a modern setting and the SCA exists, and that's how we all know each other. But we didn't decide if it was a summer solstice or a winter solstice. What kind of vibes are we feeling?
So on one hand, summer solstice? Summer solstice fits the actual time period we are recording and presumably releasing this. But also winter solstice makes me think of like a German Christmas market. So that is tempting.
Love a good German Christmas market.
Yeah, that is also very tempting. Yeah, it would be this would be releasing in June, so we'd have Christmas in June if we did a winter solstice.
I'm good with summer solstice, but I'm
also good with summer solstice.
I will bookmark play this game sometime in winter for the future.
All right, so summer solstice, modern setting, and like I said, we're not necessarily an exact sequel to our Fair Season game, but we do plan on playing with some elements of characterization from that game. So if you haven't gone back and listened to I believe that's Arc 98, I would recommend you do so. It was a good time. These are fun characters, and it's a fun game. So go back and listen to that. We'll be here when you get back. Mm-hmm. So for character creation, Our group is going to the Goblin Market together. Who are you individually, and how are you connected as a group? So we need to share our characters' names, pronouns, and we technically have to write down the answers to the following questions. According to the game, it's just for ourselves, but it's no fun to keep secrets in an audio medium from the audience, so we'll go ahead and read those out as well. So I will be playing Parker Young, uses he, they pronouns. Parker is a youthful-looking person who's a little on the shorter, stockier side with brown hair, brown eyes, and a round face. The questions that we are to answer, what is something you desire, however grand or petty? And Parker desires a good night's sleep. What is something you want to escape in your current life? College. Senior year is hell. And what makes you feel like you don't belong? I feel like I belong in the SCA, but in mundane life, I just feel like I stick out like a sore thumb. Too weird, too earnest, just too for regular life. Do you feel comfortable in yourself, or are you still searching for who you really are? And Parker's response is, I feel more comfortable in myself than I have in the past, but I still feel like there's more to be discovered.
I'm playing Garion, also he, they. Garion is a sickly little twink with an anachronistic method of dress in the best of times. He's got curly red hair pulled back into a low ponytail. What's something he desires, however grand or petty? In the grand scheme, to get away from it all, and in the pettier sides, some really good weed. Something that he wants to escape in his current life is the number of jobs that he has hanging over his head. Literally, he hangs them in plain sight so that he doesn't forget about them. What makes you feel like you don't belong? Transgender. Do you feel comfortable in yourself, or are you still searching for who you really are? He knows who he is, and he feels comfortable in that, but the rest of the world doesn't feel so comfortable with him.
I will be playing Kay, who uses they, he pronouns. Look is a hunk with glass-cutting cheekbones. Is more androgynously styled when out with these people. What is something you desire, however grand or petty? Just, they've been really craving a good sandwich. What is something you want to escape in your current life? So Kay in mortal non-SCA life is like a firefighter EMT type. So mostly they just want to get away from the constant assumptions of strangers. Unfortunately, that is difficult when people keep needing to be saved. What makes you feel like you don't belong? My coworkers' comfort in their masculinity. And do you feel comfortable in yourself, or are you still searching for who you really are? I think, like Parker, Kay feels comfortable with himself, especially with the SCA group, but it kind of feels like there are two different Kays. Like, there's Kay with friends, and then there's work Kay. So they're still searching, or at least struggling to reconcile what they think they already know about themselves.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And the game says to discuss how long our characters have known each other and any connections between them. Like we said, we're all in the SCA together. Parker's the newcomer to the SCA. I think at this point, they've probably been in the SCA for a year or so, maybe. And Parker and Kay are metamors. We're both dating Iris, who is not with us at the moment in this adventure. And I think that we're all friends with Aurora, who also is not joining us on this adventure.
Yep.
And this game is played in 3 acts. We have Act 1, setting the stage. Dusk falls, bathing the world in purple, blue, and moonlight. As you step into the field, through the thin veil between worlds, the Goblin Market flickers into view. Spheres of light dance overhead, illuminating the market. Music floats on the breeze from unseen instruments, mingling with the chatter of the crowd. The rich fragrance of spices, baked goods, and fruit greets you, both familiar comfort foods of your village and unknown delights from the Fey world. Mortal and Fey children run and laugh around the field as rainbows of fairy lights dance through their play. Excitement hangs in the air. It's Goblin Market time. And we will be drawing cards from a deck that has only the red cards in it.
All right, well, I'm going to click. We get 3 of hearts.
All right.
Hearts. 3. What is something important to you that you always carry with you? Do we all have to answer each question, or is it just the person who draws the card?
The person who draws the card answers the question, and we can ask follow-up and clarifying questions. Although I imagine I don't think there's anything in the rules that stops us from, like, if something jumps out at us as we all want to answer it, I don't think there's anything in the rules that explicitly stops us from doing that too, so...
Yeah, after the player answers the prompt, other players may ask them questions or answer the prompt themselves if desired.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that something important to Garion that he always carries with him.
A gun.
And my Glock. No. I would say a sewing kit. I think that he carries his work with him wherever he goes in many ways. But also, in case of emergencies, it's like a little emergency kit. I would say that it's in like an Altoids kit tin or something. Like something innocuous looking that has, it's definitely like put together by hand. Like it's not something that he bought. It's something that he like sat down and made for like emergencies.
Does he have like a really honed eye for like looking at people and being like, hey, looks like you need a little touch up there. Like,
looks like your hem is unraveling. Yeah, absolutely. He's got a really honed eye for like a garmentry and the garments that other people are wearing, as he demonstrated in the in the last game I played him in.
Cool.
Right. Who's up next?
Shrog, you want to go?
Yeah. I drew the 10 of hearts, which is... Do you ever long to be Fae?
Ooh.
That is an interesting question. I think for Kay, not really. I think that despite their problems with their mortal life and everything, I think if they weren't attached to, like, the idea of being human, they wouldn't do the things that they do.
As in, like, the profession that they've chosen.
Right, like, there's gotta be something to this human thing.
Yeah.
I think Parker's had the neurodivergent urge to be something not human before, but I think that that's something that was stronger in childhood than it is now.
I think for Garion, it's definitely one of those things where, like, he so desires to be Fae that he's, like, not only thought about it, but, like, actually sought out information on the idea before. And I kind of like the idea that, like, some of his clients are not necessarily entirely human.
Mm-hmm.
And by kind of like the idea, I mean that's, like, the basis of his character in most other versions of him.
He can have a little inhuman clientele as a treat.
As a treat.
That's why I got an invite to the Goblin Market.
Hell yeah. Actually, I love that idea.
Yeah, is Garion who we scored this Goblin Market invite through?
Absolutely, yeah. No, one of his clients was definitely like, hey, there's this market coming up on the solstice. And he was like, oh, fuck yeah, I am there.
Awesome.
Oh, is it my turn to put?
Nope, it's my turn. I swear
Wow.
I shuffled this deck, but my card is the Eight of Hearts.
Hearts on hearts on hearts.
Do mostly local people go to this goblin market, or do people come from far and wide to attend? Have you heard of goblin markets in other places, or is there something special about this one place? I think that there's definitely whispers about this one place. Like, I mean, obviously Garion is closer to, like, the Fae community than the rest of us, but, you know, there are whispers in the SCA of goblin markets like this. But this one in particular, I think, is like the largest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's definitely a contingent of people who come from far and wide. Like, I don't know that on the Fae side of things, distance really matters much or in the same way. And I don't know that we have the wherewithal to understand whether these vendors are coming from far and wide or whether they're local or not. But the people that we can recognize as humans, we see some people who are locals, and then there's a lot of folks we don't recognize.
How many people here do you think are people we recognize from SCA events, though? Like, percentage-wise of the humans.
I mean, of the people we recognize, probably 80% of them are because we recognize them from SCA.
Yeah,
you know what? That's fair.
Yeah. And I think some of them are just like, you know, oh, that person's a regular at a coffee shop that I go to, but we don't talk kind of deal.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't as on the down low as we're given to think of it at first.
Yeah. I think Garion might run into some of his clients and just, like, shield his face from them and be like, oh my god, please don't notice me. Please don't ask me about your fucking garment.
Oh. This is probably not gonna have any bearing on things, but I had the thought. You mentioned Fae spaces being, like, distances not mattering or working in the same way. Is this, like, how to describe it? Like, distance working in different ways. Like, you've got people from multiple human places showing up in this goblin market. Do you have it also where there are multiple goblin markets that are separated in Fae space, but that show up in the same place, so that there are people whispering about, like, oh, they've been to this other goblin market that also happened to intersect with this place at some point in time?
That could be fun.
That is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly like what I was thinking about, but I feel like that is super interesting and I like that a lot.
Neat. I also really like that. That is really interesting. How many cards do we want to go through for each round? Do we want to go through, like, 2 rounds each or 3 rounds each? What are you thinking?
So the game doesn't list a specific number of cards to draw. It's kind of like...
Yeah, it tells you to sort of decide for yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like we just got here, so let's keep going for a few rounds and see how we're feeling. Let's maybe go for 2 rounds and see how we're feeling after that.
Yeah, I feel like
Sounds
two rounds for each act will probably work.
Aha! I got a diamond.
A diamond.
6 of diamonds. What is one of your fondest memories of someone in this group? Part of me wants... So, one of Garion's fondest memories of Parker is definitely, like, Parker's first weekend. Harkening back to fair season. Definitely just, like, how, you know, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Parker was in the first sort of weekend, and the first interactions that Parker had with the Fae was something that Garion remembers fondly and with humor. How about the rest of y'all?
Yeah, I think that's similar for Parker because I think that's where Parker met both of y'all at first.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've had some good times since then, but man, what a way to first meet people,
Yeah.
All right. Five of Hearts. How long ago did the Goblin Market start? So I'm assuming it means this one and not just the concept of Goblin Markets.
Mm-hmm.
How would y'all interpret that?
I was actually interpreting it, like how many years has this Goblin Market been happening? So I was interpreting it completely opposite for you. I think both questions are interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in general, Goblin Market's been happening, since time immemorial.
As long as there have been goblins, there's been goblin markets.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
As long as the goblins have been around and like the Fey world has been able to intersect perpendicular to the mortal world, there have been opportunities for markets.
But how about this one? In this field, in, I don't know. My brain keeps wanting to place this in like upstate New York, and I don't know why.
I kind of like the idea that this is upstate New York though. Like this isn't where we live. Like we've traveled for this.
Yeah.
Commute to the Goblin Market is also a decent episode title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I guess, that would if it were one that we traveled to, that would mean that some of what we were talking about earlier with recognizing people from our day-to-day lives that weren't necessarily in the SCA would be moot. But I'm fine with retconning that because I rather like the idea that we went on a road trip.
Yeah. I mean, I think both can be true.
But also
if it's... Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
So I was gonna say basically the same thing where it's like, I think it would also be funny if, like, there are people we recognize from our day-to-day life who also traveled for this, that we, like, don't know why they did that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they found a closer way in.
Oh, that would be funny, yeah. Like there are multiple places that you can enter the same Goblin Market.
Like, I feel like that's what we already established.
Yeah.
I thought that's what August was getting at earlier. That, like, we see people from other places because you can get here multiple ways. I don't know if that's what you intended, but that's how I interpreted that.
No, I like that. I like that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Whose turn is it to draw a card?
I think it's
August,
my turn.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, King of Diamonds. Scroll. How attached are you to your current life? Do you have deep roots you want to keep, or do you want something different?
Ooh.
I think overall Parker's pretty attached to his life. Like, schooling sucks. I'm projecting some of my experiences onto Parker. Just as somebody who's neurodivergent and wasn't diagnosed until, later in life. So schooling is not necessarily pleasant, but, he's got a lot of really good friends in the SCA and, he's got a lovely girlfriend and a great metamor and, Garion's there too.
Garion is also here. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But no, Garion and Aurora and other people in the SCA and just, life isn't perfect, but I'd say that he's got pretty deep roots in his current life.
I mean, I feel like for Kay, the answer is, do you have deep roots you want to keep? Yes. Do you want something different? Also, yes. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, guy.
No, that's totally totally fair.
Totally real. Totally real. For Garion, I think he would drop everything in a heartbeat if he could. However, he, like, owns property and, like, has a store to keep. And therefore, like, he does have deep roots. And he very much wishes he didn't have that kind of responsibility.
It's even more splitting of the hairs. Do you have deep roots? Yes. Do you want to keep them? No.
Yeah. I think this version of Garion probably, like, inherited the tailor shop from his family.
That's rough.
Yeah. So, like, it's a generational occupation at this point that he just, like, he can't put it down. And that's probably why he doesn't, like, vend at SCA events, is because he doesn't want to mix his real life with his SCA life too much, and he's already sewing so much in his real life. So, like, he makes his own garb and garb for his friends, but he's not selling it at SCA because he's just like, I don't have time for that shit.
Also, like, the event vending life is its own particular brand of difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. All right. Do we want to do another round? Or do we want to move on to the next act?
So, we've only been recording for a little over 30 minutes. So I think we've got plenty of time to do another round of Act 1.
Yeah, I also forgot that Act 3 and the epilogue don't seem to have cards.
Yeah.
So yes, another round would be reasonable.
Hell yeah. Alright, I got the 4 of Diamonds. Scroll. Who would you be glad to get away from if you left? Like, of the 3 of us? Or just... I don't think that sounds right.
I'm assuming it's a more general question than that. You could interpret it as...
I'm sure it has to be. It has to be a more general question than that. I think Garion would be glad to get away from his family. I think that he feels pretty stifled by his role as the inheritor of... And I think it might be interesting if, like, most of his family is not around anymore. Like, his parents were, like, super fucking old when they had him, so they're, like, on their way out, even though he's, like, only in his late 20s. But that means that the responsibility is so, like, heavy on him that he would be glad to get away from it if he just, like, stayed here forever.
I don't think that... I think that there are a lot of people that Parker would miss. Like, it's that fantasy of the queer commune, except there's so many people that it eventually stops being a commune kind of deal. There's just so many people in Parker's life that he would be really sad and would want to bring with him, but at that point, you know, you can't bring that many people with you kind of deal.
I think you were answering the 3 of Diamonds question there, actually. Which is who would you miss most?
Or the 5 of Diamonds question.
Oh. I thought we were doing the 3 of Diamonds.
Nope, we were doing the 4.
Nope. Oh, who would you be glad to get away from if you left? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you still answered the question kind of by coming at it from...
Yeah.
The opposite direction.
The answer is still the same, like there's not really maybe a most hated professor, but honestly that's give it time and the professor will no longer be a part of their life, so they just have to wait that one out.
Yeah. Reasonable.
Yeah. I think for Kay it's something similar, like, yeah, they have problems with the their coworkers, but it's the vibe of like, oh man, Todd's such a fucking dumbass. He is always like turning the truck off when we need to be leaving it on. He like nearly shocked himself 5 times. I was one of the groomsmen at his wedding last year. Like,
Yeah.
as much as you kind of hate the people, at the same time,
When you go through
he
something
wouldn't.
like...
He wouldn't want to like get away from anyone that he works with necessarily, and definitely not anyone from like the SCA group.
We best friends.
Yeah.
I have drawn the Queen of Diamonds.
Ooh.
That is, someone in this group knows a secret of yours. Who is it, and what sort of secret do they know? Ooh. Fascinating. Okay. Yeah, I feel like Kay's been experimenting a little bit in their private life with, like, more femme clothing.
Ooh.
And I feel like Garion has been helping with, like, making stuff in Kay's size with
Hell yeah.
their incredibly mask frame.
Corsets.
And Parker
Corsets,
has probably...
Corsets.
Yeah. Like, Parker has probably seen it in action over at, like, Iris's place. But it's definitely not something they're comfortable doing, like, out. Probably not even at SCA events yet.
Yeah.
Sort of thing is like, oh, this is fun when it's extremely safe.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gary will just, like, wear a skirt outside.
Yeah.
That's sweet, though. I love Kay.
Kay's very
Kay
good.
is wonderful.
Aw, shucks.
I think Garion knows Parker's dead name. Like, I'm trying to think. I just think it's fun that Garion is, as the other trans mask person, knows Parker's dead name, but I'm having a hard time thinking of how it came up.
My brain wants to be like, oh, roommates, obviously. Roommates who have seen each other's mail. But then I'm like, I don't know that Garion would actually, like, share his space like that, because he definitely lives above the shop.
I feel like there's a too real answer of like, oh, PayPal leaked it from
Oh,
a commission.
God, that is too real.
I
That
pretend
is-
that I do not see what your email says.
Yeah, literally, it's like, I do not see it.
Yeah, Parker was paying Garion for something and was like, ah, crap, I'm short on cash. Can I just PayPal it to you? We're bros, right?
Such bros. Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah, it's the mutually assured, trans mutually assured destruction of trading PayPal information.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's so real. Yeah, none of y'all know any secrets about Garion. Garion's a pretty big open book. He doesn't really keep secrets.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anything that's a secret that Garion has, it's a secret from himself, too. He's just lying to himself about it.
Well, like how many unfinished commissions you have.
Yeah. Ugh, poor boy.
Incredible. All right. Keeping the diamond train rolling with 10 of diamonds. You used to know someone from the village who ate of the Fae food, and you haven't seen them since. Who were they?
It was a really funny opportunity to quote-unquote kill off someone from the fair game.
No, I wouldn't do that.
It's like, hey Anya, guess what? We banished you to the Fae realm.
No. Actually, so I remember we had a more elderly garb lender. I think her name was Lady Eleanor.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you are
I
correct.
So
And it may be that Lady Eleanor stopped coming to events and nobody knew why, and we all just kind of assumed the worst because she was, like 70 something, still going to events trying to vend. And so we assumed either failing health or worse than that. And then we come here, and lo and behold, she's at a clothier here. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, I recognize you. How's it going? What have you been up to? And, she, maybe looks the sprightliest we've ever seen her. And, like, she's got a lot of pep in her step, and time moves differently in the Fae realm. And so she's had, like, all these adventures, even though it's only been, a few months for us. It's been years for her, and she's, got a harem now. Just, she's living it up in the Fae realm. Like, I don't know. I just think it's very silly and very fun if, she had her own little isekai story while we were off doing our normal things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to infer, like, there's an off-screen adventure that we went on trying to find her as well. When I was like, well, we looked through the papers. We're pretty sure it wasn't natural causes. There have been other Fae disappearances at SCA.
That's true, there have been.
So we have this whole thing where we're trying to be like, did you take this lady?
That is really funny.
I love that.
That's good. All right. Do we want to move on to Act 2?
Yeah, we can move on to Act 2.
All right. A myriad of colorful items adorn the market, strewn across creative displays set up by humans and Fae alike. Tables sketch the border of the market, laden with wares, and carts overflowing with fabrics and blankets are scattered around the middle. The trees are decorated with clothing on display hanging from their branches, and rocks are dappled with trinkets ready for trade. People bustle around, trading for textiles, decor, and a variety of curiosities. At the far end, just out of reach behind a magical barrier, a feast of Fae food is kept safely tucked away until late into the night. For the protection of the mortals, there are consequences of eating, but that choice is yet before you. Now we draw black cards from the deck. Follow the prompts. All right. So I'll go first. I got the Ace of Clubs. Describe one Fae being here tonight who you feel drawn to in some way. I think Garion spots the Fae King with the beautiful crown from before that he received a gift from and was like, hey, call me. And I think he strikes up a conversation with them. And he's, the tall, dark, and handsome, beautiful Fae being Garion is swooning over.
I am just imagining this very regal Fae king with, like, a cloth grocery bag.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Oh, I also feel like Garion's probably carrying around, like, he's probably buying a bunch of, like, Fae textiles during, like, this is kind of a work trip now. With the description of all the textiles on sale, he's like, all of this is better than the shit I could buy in real life. Fuck.
Especially now that Joanne's closed.
Right. Not that he ever shopped at Joann's, though. He was probably shopping at, like extremely esoteric fabric retailers.
But Parker just assumed that he would mourn Joanne's.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you do textiles. That's where textiles come from.
Oh, God.
So what does Garion and the king talk about?
A little bit of just, like, what they've been up to since the last time they saw each other. And like, the king probably, like, asks questions about various textiles that Garion's holding. Part of me thinks he's got, like, he's acquired, like, a little tiny, like, pull cart. Like, little, like, wooden pull cart that he's just got, like, filled with bolts of fabric.
No. We knew we were going to a market, And
Yeah.
one of the staples of like SCA life that I have noticed is like a lot of people have collapsible wagons
Oh my god. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
hauling stuff. So, Garion probably has one of those.
Yup. He almost certainly does, yeah. One of those, like, green fabric collapsible wagons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet he's explaining to the king then, like, what this strange cart that he has is. Explaining how the collapsible wagon works. I love that, actually. That's very funny. Does it count as eating of the Fae food if you suck a Fae creature's dick?
I feel like that depends on the Fae.
Thank you.
I feel like at that point it's down to how they want to interpret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also depends on if you swallow.
You know what? That's so true.
And August could decide whether to leave that in the episode or not.
Lord.
Alright, someone else draw a card.
Alright, the Jack of Clubs. You have a conversation with someone from your village that reminds you of the things you appreciate there. Who are they? I mean, do we want to actually, like, run a scene of conversation between us? Because I feel like it's gonna be between us.
Yeah, I mean, we
Or
can...
at least from
yeah.
Kay's perspective. I don't know, I guess maybe it's just...
I have a pitch.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're walking, and we see some sort of piece of hair jewelry, and Kay's first thought is like, oh, Iris would love this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great.
And we all come to this conclusion at approximately the same time, and so, like, Garion isn't probably going to reach for their wallet or anything, but might point it out, and then Parker and Kay are both reaching for it at the same time and bump into each other and have that, oh, so sorry, and then we have to figure out who's going to buy it for our mutual girlfriend.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's cute.
Well, Garion just stands off to the side and rolls his eyes like, y'all can just split the cost. It's probably really expensive.
I feel like then we have to find another thing.
Do
You know, two things from your two partners. These are the perks of having two partners. You get two things.
Yeah, exactly. Rock, paper, scissors?
All right.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot.
Oh.
Oh.
Parker laughs because rock beats scissors. So they admittedly do wince a little because it is not an inexpensive piece of jewelry, but they kind of bump his shoulder into Kay, and they're just like, yeah, I'll help you find the next one. Don't worry.
Yeah, we can still split the cost. I just have to go find a different thing now. Now it's my job.
Well, I mean, technically Garion found this one, so... But we don't have to tell her that.
I wouldn't want to admit that. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think it's August's draw?
It is. I am just going to the wrong tab. Two of clubs. A baker from the village carries around a tray of their baked goods, handing them out to all who are interested. What is your favorite?
This is a human baker.
Yes. Human baker.
Keeps referring to himself as a human baker. It's very unnerving because it feels like a bluff.
And the baker's just like, I promise I'm not from around here. If I were from around here, I would be a lot taller.
Well, the Fae can't lie.
And if I were trying to trick you, it would be bad for my business.
Well, I mean, the Fae can't lie, so probably telling the truth at least, even if it's really suspicious sounding.
Who told you that the Fae couldn't lie?
Isn't that like
Was it a Fae?
I'm pretty sure that's an established piece of lore
Okay.
in like mythology, right?
What about that whole myth about, the guards, one of us tells the truth and one of us always lies? Like, how does that work if they're both Fae? Does that work?
Are they both Fae? Are they both supposed to be Fae in that story?
You know what always frustrates me about that puzzle is the instructions have to be posted somewhere else. Because if the guards themselves are explaining it, that doesn't work.
That's so true. That's so true.
And the baker's just like tapping her foot and is just like, what do you want, kids?
Take a fucking pastry. I got shit to do. Garion's gonna take a bagel. Why are there bagels on the baked goods tray? I don't know, but there's bagels.
I think Parker takes a chocolate croissant.
Mm-hmm. Kay gets like a really good ciabatta roll, but is like, well, I'm gonna have a hard time filling this with anything. But you know what? It's a start. This is my quest.
Your sandwich quest.
Make a sandwich without getting bound to the Fey realm.
Man, good luck.
All right. Sam, you're up.
Oh, shit, I'm up. Sorry, I was staring off into space. And by off into space, I mean I was just reading the fucking document. I got the 9 of clubs. Fey Child runs up and asks you to join the game. What sort of game is it, and do you join? I think that it's sort of a marbles-like game with, like, walnuts or something. I think that Garion is like, yeah, explain the rules, deal me in. And then he does a terrible job. Loses soundly to a bunch of goblin children. But he has fun doing it.
I mean, it wasn't a good start when you said deal me in about marbles.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, what's my hand?
Well, the way that you lose at Conquers, I believe, is if your walnut shell shatters after somebody else, like, hits it hard enough with another shell. So, yeah. As far as I understand. I haven't actually played it.
Incredible.
Okay, cheers, Garion on. I think he is too big and scary for the goblin children to want to invite him to also play, but he's very invested. And it's very sad when Garion loses.
Poor Kay. I love our little group of friends. They're having a good time at the market.
Yeah.
Hey, I drew a spade.
Yay.
It's the 9 of spades. You find an item for trade that looks like a basic enough item, but you can sense the magic in it. What is it, and what do you think the magic does?
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm having silent thoughts. That's not useful for an audio podcast.
No, it's great radio.
It's all good.
I'm having the start of some thoughts like, oh, is this connected to finding another item for Iris, or is this something that could go like, is it a clasp for Kay's like SCA cape, or is it an enchanted sewing needle for Garion? Like there are choices here, and I don't know what is the most fun.
That's cute. The idea of an enchanted sewing needle fills Garion with dread. Like, what does it do?
Yeah.
Cursed sewing needle tangles your thread always.
Oh, jeez. Found at a trick shop, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Here's a pitch for an enchanted sewing needle. It's just remarkably easy to thread, because thread can go into it one way. Like, it can pass through one way, so you can just stick it in sideways.
I'm so confused by that, but you know what?
Like,
Hell yeah.
Threading the needle, right? Like, going through the eye of it.
Yeah.
Like, but it's enchanted to be semi-solid, so instead of having to actually thread it, you can just...
So you could just sort of, like, pass it near, and it, like, threads itself.
That is mightily useful.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it'd be really good, for, like, big yarns.
Ooh, yeah. Those things are always a bear to thread.
Yeah. I've been, like, pushing... Because I've been weaving recently. I've been, like, pushing things through the eye of the needle with, like, my thumbnail. My thumbnail's getting real scratched up from it. So yeah, that's kind of fun. Garion's very suspicious of anything that claims to help him with his craft, that while also being kind of magic. But I think he'll shell out for an enchanted sewing needle.
Hell yeah.
Sweet of you to find this for me, Kay.
Well, I'm just returning the favor. Now
Yeah.
Parker has to find something that one of us wants.
Yep.
That's how it works.
Well, if I find any cold cuts, you'll be the first to know.
Oh, thank God.
All right, I drew the 8 of spades. What item do you regret not getting last time? Do you find another one tonight? I think I want to pass on this one because I think we've established pretty well that this is our first one, so I'm going to draw again.
Reasonable.
Queen of Clubs. Fey animals mingle with the crowd, excited at the adventure of meeting all the people. One bounds over to you and winds around your legs, eager to make a new friend. What sort of creature is it? My mind immediately goes 2 places. One of them is, like, something that looks wrong for what it appears to be. And also, I've been slowly working my way through Nona the Ninth, so I also immediately think of Noodle, the 6-legged dog. And I'm not sure which I like better.
6-legged dog.
I've got a third pitch.
What is your third pitch?
I mean, Parker's dragon-themed often, right?
Yes.
Is it like a little wormling?
Aw, that would be cute.
6-legged wormling.
Alternatively, both. Like, 6-legged dog, but it's just, like, got a very long body because it's like a Chinese myth dragon, but it's got a bunch of legs.
I like that idea a lot. Just with the shimmering opalescent fur.
Mm-hmm.
And Parker almost trips twice and is just like, where's your person? You know, I'm not your person. Where's your person? Trying desperately not to touch somebody else's animal because you never know what the animal's temperament is like, but the creature keeps, like, jumping around and trying to bound up on him. I think Parker does eventually break down and start petting the animal, and the animal makes noises that it doesn't look like it should be able to make.
The animal starts speaking full sentences. No. Thank you. I am enjoying being pet. Thank you for this. Thank you for the pets.
Fucking incredible.
Incredible. Truly.
Do we eventually find this animal's person?
Yes, follow me. I will show you my person.
I think we do, and I think the animal's person actually looks, it's one of those cases where it's like the owner and the animal look very similar, but because this is the Fey realm, it's like maybe part of the reason they look similar is because, the owner also has opalescent fur
and 6 legs.
covering their body and
6 legs.
6 legs. Yeah. No, I'm here for it.
I love it. This is a good time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. My turn?
I do believe so.
Alright, I got the 10 of spades. Almost said clubs. Fey being sits at the end of a fallen log, their collection of faintly glowing rocks and crystals spread out next to them. They invite you to try out their collection, and one in particular calls to you. When you pick it up, how does it make you feel? What do you think its magic does? Do you trade for it? Ooh. Love a good rock. Love a good rock. I think that Garion picks up what appears to be a white labradorite that flashes purple. I just looked around at my desk and was like, what's the closest rock I can find? It happens to be a white labradorite palmstone that flashes purple. And I think, he picks it up. He hefts it in his hand, and it makes him feel warm, safe. And then he looks at it with suspicion, and he goes, what does this do? And it's a protection amulet type thing. It protects the wearer from, or the holder from, ill magic. And I think that Garion does trade for it. I think he trades not a full bolt of fabric, but he cuts a yard off and he trades it to the Fey being. And he slips it in his pocket and goes, best pattern weight I've ever bought. Because he uses rocks for pattern weights. Because what else would you use?
Well, I mean, if that needle is cursed, at least you've got a counter curse now. Says Parker helpfully.
Sure do.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Parker.
Yeah, it's all upsides now.
All upsides. It's all coming up, Garion.
Mm-hmm.
I think this does make Garion more suspicious of the needle, though, that this protective rock makes him feel so much lighter. He's like, maybe I shouldn't have bought that needle.
Alright, I have drawn the Queen of Spades. A stone pedestal stands in the center of the festivities, a wooden bowl filled with shimmering water on top. When you look into the water, you see a glimpse of the Fey world. What does it show you?
Ooh.
I've got a pitch.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this Fey realm has been entirely too kind to us up until this point.
It's true.
What if it shows you what you would look like if you were to stay in the Fey realm? Like, how your appearance could change, the kind of knight that you could be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is definitely like a temptation.
Mm-hmm. I leave it to you to describe what Kay sees.
Yeah, it's definitely a vision of like Kay's idealized form, and it's like they can tell that it's them as a Fae because there's something about the quality of their skin in this image and their eyes and their garb that's just like a bit unearthly, but it is closer to what Kay, I think, wants to be all the time. Like, it's much like how we have the Goblin Market that can be in multiple places at once, and the Earth places that can be in multiple Goblin Markets at once. I think it's like a Fey resolution to this problem of like, there are two Ks in this image. And with this, K can be everything and the one right thing all at once. and I think they're leaning a little too close to the bowl, like their nose is almost touching, breaking the surface. But I think what pulls them out of this is that there are other people in the background of this vision. Like, there are other Fae. And, you know, some of them are almost recognizable. But there's one that almost, but not quite, looks like Iris. And just in the moment before Kay goes too far, the fake Iris in this image just tilts her head up. And that just snaps him out of it like, oh, wait. Comes back to himself, lifts his head up from the bowl.
You okay there, Kay?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah. I think so.
I feel like Garion wants to say something about, like, let's get you something to eat, maybe get your blood sugar up, and then, like, remembers where they are and is like, maybe I'm not gonna say that, actually.
I mean, I did bring a packet of trail mix, but I don't know how that fits within the rules.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think it's really good for Garion to get Kay talking again. He's
Yeah.
like more grounded in this.
Do you think if we leave and go to back to where we parked and then eat something and then come back, do you think that's, like, within the rules, or do you think that still counts?
I don't know if we'll be able to come back after we leave.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know. I mean, like, this place should continue to persist until the solstice is over, right?
When the solstice is over in the Fae realm.
Ah.
I don't know how that works.
I also don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Mm. Just like 3 humans shrugging.
Yeah.
Shrugging with increasing emphasis. Like, I don't know.
All right. I have drawn the 7 of clubs. One of the Fae folk is crafting items at their display, sharing about their work as they create, and you feel drawn to learn from them. What is their craft? So, I don't know. I mean, Sam, you've been to Ren fairs. I don't know if you've been to a Ren fair, Shrog. I don't recall if you've said either way. But one of the things for our listeners that you commonly see at Ren fairs, especially ones that have permanent structures erected, you will frequently see, like, glass blowers.
Yeah.
And I think Parker's always found glass blowing to be fascinating, but it's, you know, one of those things where it's like it requires, you know, such specialty stuff and, you know, a high source of heat that it's like, it's absolutely prohibitive. But this isn't regular glass blowing. This is Fae glass blowing, which allows for even more delicate work than mundane glass blowing would, and also allows for it at significantly lower temperatures. So it's like, you know, you're able to touch the stuff as it's being created.
I was gonna say a pitch that this Fae creature is, like, creating small arcs of fire between their fingertips in order to, like, pull and shape the glass. So
Ooh. I love that.
yeah.
Por qué no los dos?
Exactly, yeah, no, it's good.
They make a Rupert's drop, but it's like an entire balloon animal giraffe.
Mm-hmm. And it's goblin fire, so it burns cold, but still shapes the glass.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I love that.
and it's scintillating colors. It's not just, you know, the standard fire red. So it's just a rainbow effect as they work.
Does this artisan have a means for Parker to try it?
Ooh, I love that. Like, I mean,
or at least participate.
Like, can they lend him some ability to conjure this fire temporarily?
yeah, just have Parker's like, "Oh, you look like a strapping young fellow. Why don't you try?" And then just plops a goblin flame into Parker's palm and is just like, "Here you go, kid."
Give it a shot. Yeah, I love that.
And Parker does their darndest to replicate one of the shapes that the artisan created, and I think it comes out incredibly lumpy, but is still recognizable as like
A dragonfly.
I don't want to say a balloon animal because that is way
I'm sorry for putting
too
that
complicated.
image in your head.
No, I think the artisan does a balloon giraffe, absolutely 100%. But Parker does like a little snake rearing up. So it's like a little squiggle and then it rears up and you've got the little head. And it's lumpy, but it's recognizable.
Adorable. I think Garen's shaking his head like Jeff Koons' ass. Goblin Jeff Koons.
Incredible.
Sorry, I have a grudge against that man. Do we want to do one more round before we move on to the end?
I think so. I think one more round. We're having some fun. I think one more round is appropriate.
Yeah. All right. I got the 4 of clubs.
Spades.
You stop to listen to a storyteller weaving a tale of the Fae. What catches your attention about the story? I think
You actually drew the 4 of spades, but like...
Oh, that's the clubs. Oh, I'm stupid. That is very much the 4 of spades. Describe a solstice ritual taking place nearby. What is its purpose?
You could do the 4 of clubs if you prefer.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I prefer. Also, I'm clearly bad at cards. I actually like the solstice ritual better. I like the idea of ritual happening. I think that there is a very spooky looking circle of like druids, basically, standing in a sort of spectral circle of standing stones that is like not really there, but like is there in this sort of like half solid way that sewing needle existed. And I think that there's a bunch of like it's definitely like they're drinking some suspicious looking liquid that may or may not be blood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little spooky, but it's clearly some kind of blessing? Question mark? It's really unclear, but it's like one of those things that kind of swiftly reminds all 3 of us that like, oh right, this is like kind of scary and dangerous sometimes actually here.
Follow-up question. Are these druids humans, fae, or a mix?
I think there's a mix. I think it's definitely a mix. It's definitely one of those, like... I think that perhaps the ritual serves to strengthen the connection during the market to, like, keep the market grounded for as long as the ritual goes on. So I think that, like, this is a continuously occurring thing that happens throughout the whole market. Not, like, spatially throughout the whole market, but, like, time-wise, like, this is what keeps the market grounded. Perhaps it's happening around that plinth with the water in it. Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I have drawn a 7 of spades. What is your favorite new display this solstice? Do you trade for anything there? Do we want to swap this one out? Because again, it's implying new as in one we haven't seen before, or is just like... It's maybe good enough to have it be generically like, what's your favorite display?
Yeah.
Up to you. I'd be fine either way.
I'm going to see if there's anything more specific and interesting on the next card.
Okay.
That's the 8 of clubs. The 8 of clubs. A comfortable nook under the branches of a large tree displays a variety of divination tools, including cards, runestones, and bones. The owner offers to give you some wisdom or a glimpse of the path that lies ahead. Do you accept? If so, what do they tell you? Okay, this one's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I accept to have my path divined. Unfortunately, I am not witchy enough to know anything about divination stuff.
I think... What's the diviner look like? Like, what's the vibe of the person who's making this offer to you?
I'm gonna say this is like the most classically goblin-esque goblin we have seen at the fair thus far, and is just an old man with like very tiny spectacles perched on the end of his nose, extremely large pointy ears.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Feel like he's got to have like 15 earrings dangling from each ear. There's so much real
hell
estate.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I've got a pitch.
Yeah.
So I think this old man beckons you over and is doing not card tricks as we know them. Because like there's literal magic here, so there's literal magic involved in this. There's no sleight of hand, as like the fortune teller is almost juggling cards and stones and knuckle bones, and he's just like, "You look troubled."
Oh, I mean, maybe I'm trying not to be. It's the market. It's a great time.
Here, why don't you stay a while and let me try to put your mind at ease? Do you have a preference? And he lays out a deck of cards and the rune stones and the casting bones and maybe also some colorful sticks.
Let's try the stones.
And he kind of shuffles the stones into a very sumptuous looking velvet pouch and then shakes the pouch up a little bit and then offers it to you. Draw.
Okay. I think I fumble about for a little bit, accidentally pull two and have to like swap them around and just drop one.
He smiles kindly and adjusts his glasses as he looks at the particular rune that you've drawn, and then he looks at you, seeming to look through you almost, and you can feel like a frisson of magic in the air, and he says, "You have a long road of discovery ahead. You're at the fork of that road now. Either path can bring you happiness, but you will not find fulfillment standing at the crossroads." And I don't know if Kay is necessarily ready to hear the undercurrent of you can be gender here or you could be gender at home, but you have to be gender. But that is definitely what the old man is saying.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Feel like Kay nods. Thanks, the old man. And it's only after putting the rune stone back and walking back a ways to rejoin his friends that Kay realizes he didn't actually look at the rune on the stone, but only felt it by like worrying at it with his thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Garion tries to catch Parker's eye without catching Kay's eye and makes like a egg cracking motion with his hands.
Parker's like, shh, shh, shh.
Prime Directive and all that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, admittedly, I, August, personally think the Egg Prime Directive is kind of bullshit, but, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, me too. But yeah.
Does Kay say anything when they get back?
Yeah, I think they look a little more relaxed, actually, as they rejoin Parker and Garion. And are just smiling a little more easily and like, well, that was fun.
Aw, yay. Alright, I have drawn the 5 of spades. You find an item on display that you feel irresistibly drawn to. What is it? Do you trade for it? Wait, did we do this one already?
No, we've done similar things.
No, there was something very similar.
Yeah. Since I think we've done one similar, I'll draw again.
Sure.
6 of clubs. A fey being steps out of the crowd in front of you, cups their hands together, and a flower magically blooms out of nothing. They hand it to you, smile shyly, and duck back into the crowd. Who were they, and how do you respond? I think this is a teenager for all that, you know, that matters to a fae, but like a younger fae person, probably about Parker's height, thin frame, maybe brown skin and hair like green leafy, a green leafy mop on the top of their head. And the flower that blooms is actually matches like a flower that's blooming from their hair. And
my brain just went, oh, it's Mirren.
That would be very funny.
Yeah.
But I think Parker is just like flabbergasted for a second and doesn't know, like, just kind of stands there staring as the shy teenager melts back into the crowd. And then he looks at Garion and Kay and is just like, what do I do with this?
That was sweet. I don't know, put it in your hair. You get to match the kid that gave it to you.
Oh, okay. And Parker, like, tucks it behind one ear. And I think, like, it, like, blooms open a little wider.
There you go. That's cute. Looking good, kid. Said to someone probably, like, 1 year younger than them.
Okay, if that stays in bloom when we get out of here, I am gonna need to take a picture of this. Because that's adorable.
Very much so.
Well, I guess we'll see when we leave.
All right. Are we ready to keep going, friends?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shog, do you want to read Act 3?
So we enter Act 3, The Choice. Wares are packed away, and children shuffled off home to bed. A remnant of fae and mortal folk revel in the wilder festivities of the late night. The air is rich with magic and laughter and palpable anticipation as the witching hour draws near. Finally, a warning call goes out, and the barrier dissolves, inviting mortals to join in the fae feast. An intricately carved wooden table stands before you, covered in an array of delights. You know well the consequences of eating the fae food. One bite is enough to bind you to their realm forever, becoming one of the fae folk, never able to stray for long. And then we'll go around with each of us answering what food draws us most, and do we bite? And describing what happens.
I think the thing that draws Parker the most is I want to say like a suckling pig, like a whole suckling pig. It looks so unreal almost, like it's straight out of a picture book. It's the platonic ideal of what a suckling pig should look like. And it smells so delicious. But I don't think Parker partakes. Like, the Fey realm is nice and all, but he's got a lot of stuff to go home to.
I think that the food that draws Gary in the most is I think it's like a beautiful croquembouche. It's a towering pile of beautiful pastries with spun sugar around it, and he thinks really hard about taking some and eating it, and in the end does not, but is like close enough to take, like, he takes one and he thinks about it and he stares at that thing for like 10 solid minutes before eventually placing his little plate with the single croquembouche piece, the little puff pastry, back onto the table where he picked it up from. He does keep sort of glancing longingly back at it. He's got commissions to do. And if he abandons the store, it's gonna fall to ruin because there's no one else to take care of it.
Yeah, I think Kay almost deflecting is just like noticing Gary and having this battle of wills with a pastry.
Yeah.
And just like very earnestly says like, you could eat if you wanted to.
Believe me, I do want to, but there's too much work waiting for me back at home.
Well, I guess I know how that goes.
And besides, you guys would miss me. Punches Kay in the shoulder.
Yeah,
We would.
Kay did have very sad eyes as they were saying this, but
Yeah. Besides, we took my car here. I'm not letting you guys drive that thing back home.
I think the thing that draws Kay most is similar to the suckling pig. It's this roast of some fell beast that's been sliced thinly, and there's some strange Fey equivalent to like whole grain mustard, but it's unclear what it is.
Magical mustard.
Mm-hmm. And it's extremely tempting. But Kay pulls out the ciabatta roll they bought from the human baker earlier and just eats it on its own. I guess that's it for Act 3, yeah?
I think so. Then we read there's a little conclusion.
Yeah. So with that, the witching hour begins to fade. As the revelry continues, the air shimmers, the veil thickens, and the worlds are again torn apart. The pink light of approaching dawn tinges the sky, and the market draws to a close until the next solstice.
All right. Epilogue. 1 month later. Go around the table with each player answering the applicable questions.
Mm-hmm. And nobody stayed.
Yeah. So, if we left, how do you feel about your decision? How has being in the Fey realm changed you?
Wait, actually, which way around does this mean? Because if you stayed asks, would you eat the food next time? So I guess that's if you stayed in the mortal world?
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess.
Wait.
I guess so.
Hold
I guess
on.
so.
That's confusing.
That is confusing. Yeah, it does seem like that is the case.
But if... Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
Okay.
we all
Yeah.
stayed.
Yeah, we all stayed.
Huh.
All right.
So, again, how do you
Sorry.
feel about your
That
decision?
was-
Yeah, no, good,
I think
good catch.
I think it's fair to also answer how has being in the Fey realm changed us, because we were in there. We're just not now there permanently.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea is that we
Huh.
were sort of on the edge of the boundaries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Garion regrets not eating that fucking croquembouche. I think that he's like counting the days until the next solstice so he could go back.
Yeah, Parker feels pretty good about the decision once finals are over. Like, there's a period during finals where the only thing that Parker dreams about is that suckling pig. But finals are over and Parker's ready to graduate, and things are pretty good. He acknowledges Garion's anguish and is like, I'll drive next time, but we'll have to bring Aurora and Iris with us. I don't think they'd forgive us if we left them behind again.
Yeah. Fair enough. And Kay?
Yeah. I mean, Kay was tempted by the food as well. But I think it's actually not as long that they're thinking about it, because they have a lunch run with their coworkers, and it's just like a fucking bomb-ass local sandwich shop. And I think there's a day a while later that, after a lot of consultation with Iris and with Parker, that Kay goes to work with just a little bit of their like makeup on, and they get a lot of shit out of it, but also other coworkers like, oh, you look like I've got a nephew who's trying that sort of thing out these days, and it's not as bad as they feared, and it's not as huge of a change as they hoped, but it's a step.
Good for Kay.
Yeah.
I love that for them.
All right.
Can you link me the outros? I guess I don't need it. I could just sort of.
I mean, we've never had a set outro, honestly.
That's so fair. Yeah, I was like, I thought for a second we did, but no, we didn't. Well, thank you all for listening.
We're almost 7 fucking years in, and we still don't have an outro.
Thank you all for listening once again. You can find us on Blue Sky and Tumblr at FTLcast, and you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast. Once again, I have been Sam, and you can find me on Tumblr at SassyTale, and also on Blue Sky at SassyTale, though I don't post much on Blue Sky. And playing with me, we have had August.
Hello, I've been August. You can still find me on Tumblr at Strange Harpy, or on Blue Sky and Itch at Harpydora. And one day, I will actually update the FTLcast website, but that day is not today.
Yeah, we really gotta do that.
Yeah.
And Shrog.
I've been Shrog. You can find me on Blue Sky at The Secret Frog, or Tumblr at Secret Frog.
And you can also find the podcast Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast, where we've got bloopers and outtakes. We've got bonus episodes. $5 patrons get bonus episodes and get the main feed episodes a week early. And it's not a week early, the week before early release happens. And
at some point in the week before the episodes go up.
Yes. I don't think I'd be able to handle a full week early. That would be difficult, but yeah. Give it a shot. If you only subscribe for 1 month and download everything and drop off, that's fine too. We just want folks to hear more cool stuff that doesn't really fit with our main feed. So yeah.
We also have a joint Discord server with our podcasting guild network thing.
Yeah, the link is in the description below. Join us on Discord, talk with us. We're happy to hang out with folks. We've got a really great community. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, hit us up.
All right, shall we clap?